Hi everybody. Today we're going to look at setting up Zoom and configuring it for our classroom. A lot of people have the worry or fear behind using Zoom over the fact that they might show something confidential to their students or their class, or that they might have a student take control of the session and either add new people or show things that they shouldn't during that class period. So I'm going to show you just some of the basic things that you can set up in order to avoid this from happening, but also make sure that you're running a secure session at all times. So first, if you open the Zoom app on your computer, it's going to present you with something that looks like this. If it gives you a screen that asks you to log in, just log in with your email address provided by the district. Once you're in, you'll see this main screen here. This is the home section. This will allow me to start a new meeting, join a meeting if I have a join code, schedule a meeting, or share my screen. It also gives me a calendar outlook of anything I might have upcoming, any meetings I might have for the day, or whether they be scheduled myself or someone scheduled and has invited me to them. Another tab I'm going to use in this section is the Meetings tab. So this is where any meetings that I have set up for my classes, I'll be able to see them listed here. I have a reoccurring meeting scheduled for my sophomores, so this will allow me to see when that meeting is. I can start the meeting, I can copy the invitation if I need to resend it to a student, or I can edit the time or date if I need to. If I look at the invitation meeting settings, I can see that I have it set for September 3rd at 12 p.m. and then I have it set for every week on Thursday until October 8th. So that'll give me 6 meetings already scheduled that I won't have to go in and reschedule every single meeting and send it to the kid. It will automatically give them a notification that they have a meeting on that day at noontime. So before we set up any meetings, I actually want to go over the settings in Zoom and how you can configure it the way you want it. If we go over to this little gear icon underneath your profile picture, this will give us a settings menu. These are some quick settings that we can configure as we're using Zoom if we want to, updating our profile, setting a virtual background, but we're actually going to go down to the bottom here and click on View More Settings. This is going to open a web page for us. So in this web page, we have a lot of different settings that we can use and configure to make our classroom a little bit better in this Zoom application. So first off, I'm going to go up to Profile. Looking in Profile, this will allow me to change my department, job title, location, anything that I want that's linked to my personal self in relation to Zoom. I can add a profile picture if I want to. It shows me my sign-in email, shows me my time zone, all the basic configuration settings. Here I can also change my sign-in password, so if I want to change it to something new, I can edit it right here. If I look on this side panel here and click on Meetings, this is where I can schedule a meeting. So whether it be a one-time meeting or a reoccurring meeting, what I'm going to do is click on the Schedule a Meeting button. And this is going to give me the page to schedule a specific meeting. So I'm going to do a one-time meeting first, and then I will do a reoccurring meeting. So my first one-time meeting is going to be just a welcome to shop. This is going to be a one-time meeting that I just welcome my kids. I can add a description here if I want to. I'm going to select a date for this, so I'm going to select for tomorrow at 11 a.m. And I'm going to have it be an hour long. Just make sure the time zone is set right. It should be set automatically, but just double check. It is not going to be a reoccurring meeting. I'm going to use my personal meeting ID. So every Zoom user has a personal meeting ID that's already preset for them. If you use this, you can also set a specific password for it. You can also generate one automatically if you want and use that password. But if they use this personal meeting ID, it makes it so the student can click on that one meeting ID every single time and join your classroom. They don't have to keep getting a new link. So I'm going to use my personal meeting ID. I want my video to be on as the host. I'm going to want my students' video to be on. It's not technically required, but I want to see my kids' faces as they pop up on the Zoom. And then for an audio preference, I'm going to select computer audio only. For me, I want to make sure my kids are sitting in front of their computer while we're on Zoom. So if it's selected as computer audio, it means that they have to be in front of the computer. Otherwise, if you do both, they could call in on their cell phone, they could call in on landline. This makes sure that they're sitting at the computer working with you. For some other meeting options, I don't want them to be able to join before me, so I'm going to leave that unchecked. I do want them muted upon entry. We've all been at staff meetings or at other meetings throughout the year where everyone joins in at the same time and all you can hear is the chatter in the background. This will make sure that nobody can speak on Zoom once they enter the meeting. You have to allow them to, or they have to unmute themselves. Some other settings here, only authenticated users can join. I'm going to leave that unchecked because our students actually don't have Zoom accounts. Per state regulations, they have to be 16 years or older, so the younger students can't make them. So they just join via our codes. So they're technically not authenticated users. So if you check this box, they will not be able to join your meetings. Breakout rooms we're going to get to in a little bit. I'll show you what those are. And then automatically record meetings on the local computer. If you want to record your meetings automatically every time you have a meeting, or for this specific meeting, you can click this box. I do not want to record my meeting, so I'm just going to leave that unchecked. And then I'm going to hit save. So this will now make my meeting for me. I have my topic, welcome to shop. I have a time set. If I want to add it to one of my calendars, I can click here and it will add it for me. Gives me the meeting ID, the passcode. Mine is just set to IT shop. It also gives me an invitation link, and it gives me the option to copy this link. I would recommend if you're doing a meeting using your personal meeting ID, because the link will always be the same, you could put this on your Canvas account. You could put it on the main page, you could send it to the kids via email, or you could send it to them via Remind. It also tells me that I have my video on, my participants' video will be on, they're using the computer audio, and they will be muted upon entry. From this page, I can also delete the meeting, edit the meeting, or start the meeting. So if you make a mistake on the settings, you can edit it here or delete it, but then you can also start it right now if you want to. That's the basics on setting a one-time meeting. Now, if I want to set a reoccurring meeting, I'm going to go back to my meetings, and I'm going to schedule a meeting. Here, I'm going to say I'll do sophomore related. And I'll just label it morning because I'm going to have it be the morning session. So when I'm going to start mine on, let's say Monday at 9 a.m. It's going to be 1 hour long. I have the time zone set, and I'm going to check that box now, reoccurring meeting. So this will allow it to reoccur every day until September 6th. I want it to reoccur weekly. So it's going to go every week on Monday until October 12th. So now instead of doing it every day, it'll do it once a week, every Monday at 9 o'clock. So occurs on, we have our related class with our kids Mondays and Tuesdays. So I'm going to select Monday and Tuesday. This way their morning session is already set up. I'm going to repeat it. I'll repeat it for 5 weeks. So this is going to go now until March 29th, 2021. So I have it set way out. We don't really need to set it that far, but I'll just use it as an example. You can change the end date here if you want, or you can set it to stop after so many occurrences. So if you want it to stop after 2 weeks, you can set that here. Everything else is going to be the same as it would be for a individual meeting or a single meeting. You can decide whether you want to use that same passcode, the video on or off, what type of audio you want to use, and then what you want to do with your meeting options. Mine are already preset from the last time I set up a meeting, so it's already set to mute, computer audio, all that stuff. I'm going to leave it as is and then just hit save. So now if I look at my settings, I now have a meeting set from August 31st until March 29th, 2021. That's a long time, but now I never have to schedule a meeting for these kids for the sophomore morning related. I have the morning one set. I could set an afternoon one as well. You could set one that's 8 hours long if you want, so you don't have to set a morning and an afternoon. You could just hop in and out of the meeting as you please. This is the basics to setting up a meeting. If I click back on that meeting tab, now I can see, okay, tomorrow is Friday. I have a meeting from 10 to 11. I have a meeting from 11 to 12, and then I have a meeting from 1:30 to 6:30. So I have a lot of meetings going on tomorrow, and then I have other meeting occurrences set for the rest of the week. If I go down now to settings, this is where I can configure some of the security and basics of meetings to make sure that I myself am secure, the meeting's secure, and the kids are secure. The first thing we're going to look at here is the waiting room. This should be automatically on. Blue means on. This makes it so when your kids join your meeting, they have to wait in a waiting room or in a separate area until you let them into the meeting. This is regulated by the school. It's mandated by the school. So they have it already preset. You want to leave this on. If for some reason yours isn't on, please turn it on. You can also change the options. It's already set for everyone's going to go into their waiting room. That's the best option to have. We can scroll down a little bit here. A lot of these things are locked by administration, so we can just leave them. The only thing you can change here is for your personal meeting ID, you can change that passcode. Mine is set to IT shop. You could set yours to password if you want. You could set it to machine shop, health technology, whatever you would like, and that will be your personal meeting ID passcode. Embed passcode in invite link for one-click join. This is nice to turn on because if you send the invite link to a student or a parent or whoever you're sending it to, they can just click on the link and it will let them join your Zoom. Otherwise, they'll have to go to Zoom, type in the user ID, and then type in the password. This will just let them join by that one click. So that is nice to have on. You can require a passcode by phone if you want. Like we talked about earlier, authenticated users, our kids aren't authenticated, so you want to leave that off. And then we can go down to the scheduling a meeting. I prefer to have my host video on and my participant video on. If you want to change that, you can here. You might not want to have yours on when you initially come into the meeting. Both of these can be changed. You can still have the participants turn their video on and off throughout the meeting. You can still turn your video on and off throughout the meeting. This is just setting up the standard settings for what you have as like a template for your meetings. Going down, I talked about I had my computer audio set, but you can change that here. I don't want my kids joining before me, so I leave this one off, join before host. I like having my personal meeting ID, so I leave that on. I can use it when scheduling a meeting, so I leave that on as well. A big one, mute participants upon entry, make sure that is on. And then if you would like, you don't need to turn this on, but it allows you to get a meeting reminder on your desktop, whether it be through Zoom or your mail application, in order to just give you a reminder, hey, you got a Zoom meeting today at 11. Going down to the in-meeting basics, the first thing we're going to look at is the chat. So allow meeting participants to send a message visible to all participants. You want to have this on just in case a kid has a question, they want to comment on something, they want to give some feedback. You can have that on. But I would recommend checking this box where it says prevent participants from saving chat. This is just in case a kid types something inappropriate in the chat, or you're typing a password to something, or you're trying to save something in the chat. You don't want the kids being able to save that chat log, just in case something happens. It's more of a security measure than anything else. You don't want to enable private chats. Kids don't need to private chat one another. They have cell phones, they have texting, all sorts of apps to do that. You want to make sure that anything going on in the Zoom chat is related to your class as a whole. So you can leave that off. And then you can also leave the auto-saving chats off as well. When it comes to sound notifications, this is nice to have on for you, the host and the co-host. It makes like a doorbell noise when someone joins the class or when someone leaves the class. So that way you, if you're presenting, without having to constantly look at the list, you can hear if someone left or joined your classroom. File transfer is nice to have on in case you have to send the kids a file, a Word document, you want to send them a picture through the chat. This will allow you to do that, and it will allow them to send files as well. Scrolling down, this is just looking at feedback to Zoom. You can turn this on if you would like. You don't have to. It just gives feedback to Zoom in saying things worked, or if you had any issues, they can provide that feedback as well. Or you could give a thumbs up, thumbs down survey at the end of the meeting also. If you have a co-teacher or you have a TA in your classroom and you want to make sure that they can have the same accessibility to the Zoom meeting as you, the host, you want to enable co-host. This will give them that same power within the meeting. You can make more than one co-host as well. So if you have more than one TA or you have more than one co-teacher, this will allow you to make all of you accessible as almost like admins within the Zoom profile. Showing the meeting toolbar. When we go into Zoom, you'll see up at the top it has a toolbar that allows me to send files, share my screen, etc. I like to have mine on so I can see it all the time. You can move it around the screen, so it's nice to be visible. And then show Zoom windows during screen share. This is also nice to have on. When you're doing a screen share with the kids and you're sharing your entire screen, it puts a green box around it, so that way you know you're showing your entire screen. So if the green box is there, just be aware that it is being shared to whoever's in your meeting. Having the Zoom window during screen share up or that green box up kind of just gives you a little reminder, oh, I'm still sharing with my kids. So make sure that you're staying within the content that you need to. Currently, I have my screen sharing allowed by host only. This is just so I can share my screen. The kids cannot share theirs. This can be re-enabled within Zoom as you're using it, and I'll show you that later on as well. The reason I have it on for only me is because I don't want the kids sending up a picture in the middle of my presentation and taking over the screen share. I want to make sure that I have complete control of that from the beginning. Disable desktop screen share for users. I turned that off for now. This is a setting that can be turned on during the Zoom session as well. You can have it annotate or annotation tools for your students so they can write on the screen, add stickers to the screen, etc. in order to annotate whatever they're working on. And then you can use the whiteboard feature. This is very helpful for team collaboration. So it's just a white screen, a white space that the kids can draw on, they can add content to, and then when they're done, they can save it as a PDF. So if you have them go into breakout rooms and use a whiteboard together and then have them save it, they can bring it back to the main room and share it with one another. You can enable remote control. This is kind of cool. Some people like to have it on, some people don't. I use it a lot with my kids because we use Windows applications, so I like them to be able to control my session if I say, okay, now go into the settings option and change the audio settings. They can do it right on my screen. It allows them to control the content that's being shared to them. So they can write on it, they can move it around, whatever they want to do. Most teachers like to have this off, though. Nonverbal feedback, I know a lot of academic teachers that use this. It gives different clicking options in the panel saying speed up, slow down, I need help, right in the side panel for students so they don't have to turn on their microphone and bombard everybody with different issues that are going on, they can just click on the button and it will pop up right on the instructor's screen. You can also have reactions that pop up on your personal video, a thumbs up, a thumbs down, a laughing face, a crying face. The kids like these, and it's a good informative assessment tool. Okay, how's everybody doing on this? Thumbs up. You can see everyone's where they need to be. We don't recommend having the allowed remove participants to rejoin on. If they're removed, they were probably removed for a reason, so we keep that one off. But we do like having the allow participants to rename themselves on, because if a student comes in and the school has set the precedent that they want the students joining with their ID number and then their first name, if they come in name something else, this allows them to be able to rename that. If they come in name something inappropriate, this also allows them the chance to rename that. So it's nice to have that one on. Scrolling down to the in-meeting advanced, report participants to Zoom, you can have that on. It's just a safety feature. Breakout rooms, this is one of the main things you do want to turn on. It allows for small group sessions. So it'll allow me as the teacher, as the host, to split the kids up into smaller groups. I could make random groups, I can make auto-generated groups, or I can move kids wherever I want to. And this puts them in different groups. It allows me as the host, or if I have another teacher in with me as a co-host, to jump in between the rooms and check out what they're doing, and then I can bring them all back to the main room. So it's good for team collaboration and like group breakout work. Remote support can stay off. This is just an alternative to a breakout room if you had to work with a student one-on-one, but with breakout rooms on, this one will not turn on anyway. If you want to turn on the closed caption, you can. That will be an option here as well. And then you can also save those captions or transcripts if you would like. Going down to virtual backgrounds. This is kind of cool to have. You can manage the virtual backgrounds, upload your own picture if you want the kids to have a picture behind them. I know some instructors are doing that as their attendance, so they'll have a specific picture that they upload, and in order for the kid to be marked present, they have to have that picture set as their background. So you could do that here and just upload your own picture. Something we recommend having off is the video filters. This allows kids to put like fake sunglasses on, ears, have weird things on their face. It's just kind of a distraction, so that's good to have off. Scrolling down, we can leave all these standard. This is just setting audio and sound for the Zoom session. You can have a join from your browser link if you would like. Most students have a laptop at this point that has Zoom installed on it already, but if for some reason Zoom is not working for that student, you can have them join from a browser. Going down to email notifications. When attendees join a meeting before the host, you will get a notification. So if I have kids sitting in my waiting room, it'll send me an email that says, Miss Cunningham, you have 3 students sitting in your waiting room. You might want to get there. But then it'll also send you and the participants an email when the meeting is canceled. So you might want to have these ones on. Under the Other section, Blur Snapshot on iOS Task Switcher. So this will allow you to, it actually might say just Blur Task Switcher on yours if you're running a Windows machine, but it will blur sensitive data on the system. So if you have a password pop up, if you have a taskbar, like I have a taskbar at the bottom of my screen here, and when I hover over one of these, if it brings up my messages or it brings up my personal email, it'll actually blur whatever that pop-up is. That way it keeps the confidentiality of whatever screen is not open. I can change my email settings here so they can, of whatever language I want them to receive that email in. And that is it for the settings in here. So any of those, these are standard settings all the way down to advanced settings for our Zoom session. Now we're actually going to go into the Zoom app. We're going to play around with some of the features that we just talked about now that we set everything up the way we wanted to, and we're going to see how everything kind of works. So we can X out of this and go back to our Zoom application here. Once in this application, I'm just going to do a new meeting in order to show you what pops up on the screen, but you can go to one of your scheduled meetings if you would like. That'll work also. So if I click on new meeting, you're going to see me up on the screen here. You're also going to see a box that says join with computer audio, or I can test my microphone and speaker. I'm just going to join with my computer audio. Here we go. I'm kind of glitchy here today. It'll see my name down in the bottom. I can also mute myself, or I can stop my video. If a student is having trouble joining my session, they can go up to their top here, or I can go up to the top and show them my meeting ID. So say they're trying to join on their phone, I can show them right here, okay, if you can't get through the link, try doing this. Try typing in my meeting ID, and this is my password for the current session. It also gives me an invite link that I could copy and send to them if I would like to. Down at the bottom here, there's a session where I can stop my video, so that'll just shut my video off and only display my picture that I have available on my profile. This is also where I can set my virtual background if I would like. So if I want to choose a virtual background, right now I have it set to none, but I can set it to one of the ones that are pre-selected here. Or like this picture I uploaded myself, it looks like an Apple store. So that's another one I can do. If you have clothes on that match the background, you will disappear. So you want to make sure that you're not wearing something green, or in this case, I'm not wearing something blue because you wouldn't be able to see me in the background. I'm going to set mine to none. I don't need a virtual background, but this is where you can change that, or you could upload your own. Going through some of the other options here, if I click on participants, this is where I can see my current participant list. Right now, I don't have anyone else in the session other than me. In this list, I can see those nonverbal that I was talking about, where I can say yes, no, go slower, go faster, more. By enabling these, it allows the students to click on these buttons as well. So they can give you the option of, okay, I want you to go faster, and that's what will pop up. Or, yes, I'm all set with that. So it'll actually pop up next to the kid's name, which is pretty cool. Down here at the bottom, I can also see the chat that's going on within my group. So obviously there's no one in the chat. Some people have talked about actually using the chat as attendance. So when the kids are in your Zoom, they can say here. Reason being, when they say here, it timestamps it. So this will allow you to get an accurate timestamp of who is actually here and who's not here. That way you don't have to worry about kids being late and them saying that they were actually present. You have everything timestamped right here. We can X out of that. If I go up to one of my users, I'm the only user currently, but I can click on the more. And this will allow me to rename myself if I want to. So if I want to rename myself to my ID number and my first name, like the standard is going to be set at, I can do that and it will rename me up here, which is great. So that's looking at the chat. Now if I want to do a screen share, so me as the instructor, I want to share a specific screen to my kids. Say, here, I'll open a Word document. So I want to share this Word document with my students, but only that Word document. What I can do is go to Screen Share. And now I have some options here. So I can share my entire screen. This is my desktop. So this means if I share my full screen or my desktop one, everything I do on my computer will be shared with the kids. If I go on the internet, if I open up Spotify, if I open up my messages, everything that I do, they can see. I only want to share my Microsoft Word document. So I'm going to look in this list and I can see my Word document here, Microsoft Word Activity 111, and that's what I'm going to click on. So this will make it so I only am sharing one document as opposed to my entire computer activity. The only issue with sharing one document at a time is if I share this to students, it'll say right here, you are sharing your screen. Perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. It's got a green box around it, so I know I'm sharing that. But now if I click back and I go, say I go to this web browser, so I open that up, I want to show this to the kids. They can't see my web browser. They can only see my Word document. If I X out of my Word document, screen sharing is stopped as the shared window has been closed. So it'll notify me that I am no longer sharing my screen because I closed that window. So if I share only one screen, that's the only thing the kids will see. So if I try to switch to different screens, they won't be able to see it. So you just have to be aware of that when you only do the one screen share. What I can also do here is I can activate a whiteboard for my kids, or I could share something from my phone if I want to. In the advanced options, it'll let me do a portion of the screen. It'll let me do some computer audio or sound. Most people are going to be staying in the basic section and just sharing their entire desktop or sharing a specific browser. One more thing on sharing. When you're in this section, if you want to share a page that you're trying to share sound to the students that comes from the page or video that comes from the page, you need to check these boxes down at the bottom here. Share computer sound and optimize screen share for video clip. This will make it so the screen share actually gives the kids the sound that's coming out of your computer, and that it also makes it so the video is not glitchy on their end. So you want to make sure those are on when you do share whatever you're sharing to them. Right now I just hit share full screen. Up at the top, it'll allow me to pause my share, annotate on it, which means I can draw right on my screen share, which is kind of cool. I can also save that annotation. When I'm done, just X out of it. And then if I want to stop my share, say I put something up by accident, I just hit this red stop share and it's done. Kids can't see anything else that I have on my screen. So that's everything about screen share right there. The next button I have here is the record. If I click on it, I'm currently muted, so that's fine. I'm going to leave it record without audio. But up at the top, it's going to tell me that I'm recording. I can pause or I can stop this recording. Once I X out of the meeting, it's going to save that recording. That's what this pop-up says over in the corner. Another really cool feature is the Breakout Rooms. So if I click on Breakout Rooms, I only have me as the host, so I can't assign anything right now, but assign 0 participants into one room. If I have 10 people and I want to make 4 rooms, I can automatically assign people. So I can click on Automatic and create breakout rooms. What it does is it's going to create 4 different rooms that I can assign people to. So when I have a whole group of people in here, I can click on Assign and just drag their name right into this room, which is pretty cool. I can also rename these rooms. So I don't want it to be breakout room. I want it to be, I'm looking at different patterns and things. So say I want to do cybersecurity. And then this group I want to be computer hardware. And then the next group I'm going to do as programming. And then I'm going to follow up with networking. So this will allow me to assign different groups, but also name those groups so the kids know what they're being involved in when they get into that group. Once I have the groups named, I can hit Open All Rooms, and it will send every kid to those rooms right away for me. If I want to recreate the groups and either add more rooms, reassign the kids, whatever I want to do, I can do that down here as well. And then under Options, I can set up so the breakout rooms will close automatically after so long. Say I only want them in there for 6 minutes, they'll automatically close after 6 minutes. Or I can do a countdown after closing the breakout room. It's automatically set to 60 seconds. That's kind of a lot of time since we have limited time with the kids online. I'm going to change mine to 10 seconds so it does a countdown when they're leaving to 10 seconds only. So this is a little bit on the breakout rooms, how you can get in the breakout rooms, send your kids there. You as the instructor, once you see the rooms here, can also jump in each of the rooms. So this assign will turn to the name join, and it will allow you to go into that room, discuss with those students, and then jump into other rooms as well. The best part about this whole setup with these rooms also is the students can ask for help from their room. So if they have an issue, they can hit the help button. It's going to be down on a toolbar like this, and it will actually send you a message that says, Katie's asked for help in room 4, join room 4, and you can click right on the button that's presented and it will let you join that room. So this is just a little bit on Zoom, how it works, how you can set up the settings. You can also do reactions. If I want to have a thumbs up or a clap, I can do that here. To close out this session, I want to show you how to end it. So if you are done with your meeting, your kids are all set, bye Miss Cunningham, have a great day. I click on end. I can end meeting for all. If I have recorded my meeting, it's going to pop up with that conversion box in order to save my recording. If not, it won't pop up with that, but it will pop up with how was your experience. This is that thumbs up, thumbs down survey that was presented to me. Mine was great, good to go. That is it for our session on Zoom. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, but happy Zooming.